Kiryu awakens to the sight of his friends. He asks what happened, and Ichiban lets him know what they learned from Umai. Ichiban then asks Kiryu to leave the rest to them, telling him he can't push himself to the edge anymore. But the dragon is stubborn and refuses to take a break. Kiryu understands he doesn't have much time left, but he feels as though this is something he has to do. But Hanua brutally lets Kiryu know that he is now a liability and will only weigh the team down. He needs him to go back to Japan and focus on recovering. Hanua understands why Kiryu is so invested in Lani, as she's in the same situation his foster daughter, Haruka, was in many years ago. Ichiban pleads to Kiryu to let him handle it, saying that he's no longer alone. Kiryu reflects and finds himself pathetic, forcing those younger than him to ask him to back down twice now. He now realizes he's been too scared to rely on others, but he now has a group of friends he can trust to finish the job. Plans are made to take Kiryu back to Japan, with Nanba acting as his caretaker. After saying their goodbyes, the party focuses on the next steps to find Akane. Adachi believes the next best step would be to reinvestigate Palakana. When they arrive, the building is eerily quiet. Chitose notices one of the children spying on them, then running back into the building. The party follows inside, where they meet Bryce Fairchild once again. He welcomes the party surrounded by the orphaned children, but as they begin to approach, he is surrounded by two of his followers, Haku warriors. Just as described by Wong, they are fiercely loyal and see Bryce as their object of worship. Ichiban calls out Bryce, asking him what he plans on doing with Akane, Lani, and the children. But Bryce only righteously preaches to Ichiban, as if he's doing no wrong, chosen by Nele to purify whomever he wants. He then gathers the children, calling Ichiban a demon, and leaves the room. A fight then breaks out between the party and the Palakana warriors. Once defeated, the party is surprised by Kalon and Dana coming in from behind. Instead of chasing after Bryce, they take time to explain things. Kalon and Dana were sent out on errands by Bryce before the confrontation, returning to the chaos inside the Palakana orphanage. After talking to the two, it's clear they knew nothing about Bryce's true identity and his intentions. After clearing things up, Ichiban begs the two if there was anything strange they noticed or left out. Now would be the time to let them know. Dana speaks up, saying they were told that those who pilgrimage to Nele Island live in peace for the rest of their days. Those chosen are known as Haku, usually the most devout of Nele's believers. As a result, many children in the orphanage have been chosen before, always teaching the children that they should keep the faith so that they can become Haku as well. Dana explains this practice has gone on for decades, but a long time ago, Nele Island accepted one of her kids, but she swears she saw them in Honolulu. Their face was completely different, but their voice and mannerisms were the same. She was told she had the wrong person, but she was sure this was one of her children. She tried to talk to them more, but they ran off as if trying to escape. Dana's experience lines up with Wong To's information on how Bryce creates spies, making Ichiban believe the overseer must have spies everywhere, ranging from street thugs all the way to politicians. Kalon and Dana's faith is shocked to its core, but they choose to still believe, but ask the party not to speak of this in front of the children. Chitose asks if they truly intend to still send children to Nele Island after everything they've heard, and Dana simply says those children are only sent on the new moon or full moon, giving the party time to figure things out. We then cut to Kiryu and Nanba flying to Japan. Nanba updates Kiryu on what Ichiban's learned so far after they left, but then he says as far as Hawaii goes, they're leaving it to Ichiban and the gang. Their goal is to get Kiryu to a doctor. After the checkup, the doctor lets Nanba know Kiryu is only getting worse. He's surprised he was even able to walk here and didn't come in an ambulance. The doctor suggests rest, but understands how stubborn Kiryu is. From what he's gathered, it seems as though Kiryu has given up on recovery altogether and is rushing towards his death. The doctor hopes by his friends encouraging him to take care of himself, he may change his mind on recovery down the road. Nanba tries to convince Kiryu to try some sort of treatment for his cancer, but Kiryu says it's not like he hasn't tried anything, and that the Daidoji faction looked into his condition and found nothing. He had hoped that he could hold himself together until Akane and Lani were safe, but his body gave up on him near the end. The next day, Nanba walks in on Kiryu still not taking it easy, focusing on trying to support on the sidelines. Nanba understands he is just wanting to help, but sometimes that means knowing when to take the bench, as the team has plenty of support with the Daidoji faction and IG helping. Kiryu lays back and sighs, still unable to relax. The mood changes when they're visited by the Gomi-Jewel leader and queen of Eijincho, Sonhee. Kiryu wonders why she's here and how she found out so quickly, but he remembers that the Gomi-Jewel are professionals at collecting data in Eijincho. Nothing happens in town without them knowing first. The three take time to relax and update Sonhee on what's happening. Sonhee intensely stares at Kiryu and asks him what his favorite food is. Kiryu takes quite a while and isn't really able to give an answer, and she points out no regular person would take that long to think of their favorite food. Saying his lack of answer only shows how little time Kiryu has spent on himself, describing Kiryu as someone who has only ever lived for someone else, going to prison for a decade for a sworn brother, adopting his lost love's daughter Haruka, and now faking his own death to protect his loved ones. Kiryu and Nanba are shocked by her passion and wonder why she cares so much. She explains that her people once served the Jingwang Mafia, who had complete control over their lives. But even now that they're free, their oppression still lingers. She's seen too many of her people waste away in fear and regret. Kiryu says he doesn't remember asking for her help, but she replies quickly saying that he's in her territory now, and she would hate herself if she let the dragon of Dojima die full of regrets. Nanba agrees from here on out, and maybe it would be good to focus on self-care. Kiryu asks for suggestions, and Sonhee says if it were her, she would go to the batting cage to clear her head, and Sonhee joins the party. After spending time at the batting cage, Kiryu feels refreshed, feeling as though a lot of the stress left his shoulders. Nanba agrees, as he can immediately tell Kiryu's looking much healthier after decompressing. Sonhee wonders what's next, and Nanba suggests Kiryu make a bucket list, things he wants to do before his time is up. While going over Kiryu's list, Nanba asks if he wants to go to a cabaret club, as he believes they should add more people in on the fun and knows just the gal. Psycho joins the party. Sonhee is surprised Nanba isn't pushing harder for Kiryu to get treated, and he explains that the doctor said something that stuck with him, that a friend could change his mind down the road. So currently the plan is to enjoy life with Kiryu using his bucket list, then maybe at some point he'll change his mind and want to live. Nanba thanks Saiko and Sonhee for accompanying them, as he didn't know how things would turn out after leaving Hawaii, but thanks to them, the load is much lighter. The party is having the time of their life doing karaoke, until Sonhee receives an urgent call. She reports that the Seiryu clan is acting oddly, as they're recruiting en masse. Nanba says he thought they knew about the second grade dissolution, and Sonhee says she does, but currently, even Yakuza who got their life together are joining up, and not just a few, but in the hundreds. She believes the second grade dissolution is just a smokescreen, and Ebina's real goals are yet to be revealed. Even the waste management company is being moved to Hawaii, and all their new members are headed that way. Clearly, the events in Japan and Hawaii are connected, and the only one who would know more information would be Joe Sawashiro. The party makes plans to head to the new Seiryu clan headquarters the next day. To Kiryu's surprise, the Seiryu clan have taken over the old Tojo clan headquarters. Sonhee explains that the clan is growing so fast they no longer fit in a Jinsho. At the gate, the party is greeted by Joe Sawashiro, personally in a display of power, surrounded by hundreds of Seiryu clan men. He tells Kiryu that Ebina is waiting for him inside. Inside, Ebina greets the party, commenting that Kiryu must hate what they did with the place, as he was the Tojo clan's fourth chairman. But he explains after the dissolution, the building was left to rot, so they restored it. Kiryu is annoyed that Ebina is sitting in the head chair, saying that if he wants to talk, he needs to sit somewhere else, as many have spilled blood over where he's sitting now, and won't even entertain the idea that he is even close to being able to sit on it. Ebina accepts the criticism and starts the meeting on the better foot. Sonhee asks why Ebina's new recruits are moving to Hawaii, and he compliments Song on her information gathering and explains. The Seiryu clan acquired a business partner in Hawaii. Currently, their biggest source of income is storing waste that can't be disposed of, but he admits this business was not uniquely his idea. He got the idea from Palakana. Ebina describes how he even learned about the religious group. He says while Sawashiro was behind bars, he confided his deepest regret to Ebina, Akane. The more he learned, the more interest he developed on her saviors, Palakana, eventually digging up information on their waste management business. Kiryu assumes the garbage is being stored on Nele Island. Ebina says he's correct, and when he reached out, they were very helpful. A common goal was born between the two, describing it as cleansing the sins of society. They even offered to take in former Yakuza on their behalf. Kiryu's confused how this would work, as Nele Island is considered their holy land, and only select few are allowed to set foot on the island. Sawashiro explains they have already gone over the details. Their men will only be unloading cargo onto the island, barely even leaving footprints on the sand. Kiryu then asks why did Sawashiro send Ichiban to meet Akane. Sawashiro simply responds that she honestly wanted to see him and requested it of him. Anything between Palakana and the Seiryu clan is unrelated. Kiryu tells Ebina and Sawashiro on what is going on between Palakana, Akane, and Lani, and asks if they knew anything. Sawashiro seems surprised alongside Ebina. Ebina asks for proof, but he also states that this is coming straight from Kiryu, and he doesn't take it lightly. He asks the party for time for him to reinvestigate Palakana. Kiryu accepts his response, and agrees they're done here for now. Ebina hopes that one day, after things are settled down, he can take Kiryu to dinner. While they wait on Ebina's investigation, Kiryu wants to visit some people he's ignored, the graves of his family. Not related by blood, but just as precious. Kiryu gets this strange feeling after everything. He always thought he would be the one to die first, but in the end, he's the last one. While reflecting, the moment is interrupted by someone visiting the same graves, Detective Date. The two catch up on what's been going on. Date can clearly see how thin Kiryu is, and he's clearly getting worse. The next day, Date tricks Kiryu into spying in on one of his orphanage children. Unable to talk to him directly, Date thought it would be nice for Kiryu to see him at a distance, telling him that would dying be easier without having this memory? Don't his children deserve a spot on his list? He tells Kiryu that he's gone through life telling himself that he has no regrets, but in reality, he's just refused to acknowledge them. Kiryu thanks Date for what he did, as he thought he was able to let go, and if he never saw his children again, he'd be fine. But when he heard his son's voice with his own ears, seeing him right in front of him, he never knew he could be so happy. But sadly, the next day, Kiryu's road to recovery is derailed, as Sanhee calls him in the morning, letting him know the Seiryu clan has set them up.
What's up, people? Tatara Channel coming at ya! As always, we're out to boldly reveal the evils this media's just too scared to touch. The title for today's episode is... A super big shot Yakuza long thought dead suddenly returns from the grave? First off, let's take a good look at this photo. In it is Kazuma Kiryu, legendary Yakuza to some, hardened criminal to others. Known as the Dragon of Dojima in Kamurocho, he was also the chairman of the Tojo clan, the largest Yakuza group in the Kanto area. 7 years ago, in Hiroshima, Kiryu-san was shot to death as a result of gang-related activities. Or so we were led to believe. This video here, recorded in Hawaii, is no more than a few days old. And if we zoom in to get a closer look... My! He looks a lot like Kazuma Kiryu, doesn't he? I mean, you're practically twins! Now, let's continue the footage, shall we?
Long time no see, Kasuga. Whoa. Kiryu-san? Is that you? Who else would it be?
You hear that? The other guy just called him Kiryu-san, didn't he? Does that not blow your mind, people? The dragon is back from the dead! Oh, and we're not done just yet. This footage hides yet another juicy surprise. Did you happen to catch it? Right here. Do you all remember him?
Long time no see, Kasuga.
It's Ichiban Kasuga, whose cover we blew on this channel before. Yokohama's so-called hero. So a long-lost legend is really alive and kicking. Plus he's pals with Ichiban Kasuga? Okay, what is really going on here? To help shed light on that, I've invited some very special guests for this occasion. You'll be meeting the Underworld's top dogs, currently leading the most powerful Yakuza organization in Japan. Here we go! These gentlemen are in charge of a group called the Seiryu clan. Thank you both for joining us today. Let's get right to it. You've seen the footage of Kazuma Kiryu yourselves. What do you think?
That's him, without a shadow of a doubt. As a matter of fact, he paid a little visit to our office here only yesterday, which goes to show the man never died. It was an act. That, in turn, leads me to believe law enforcement might have had a hand in this charade.
You're saying the police helped Kiryu fake his death? How is that even possible?
Kazuma Kiryu was the fourth chairman of the Tojo clan, and despite their rivalry, he was also quite close with Chairman Watase of the Omi Alliance. Naturally, he would have had a wide range of support from Japan's underground, being in it all those years.
And that's to say nothing of the late Minoru Daidoji, whose cabal still straddles the political and finance sectors. If even one of those groups were to put pressure on the police, well, I'm sure you can imagine they'd comply. But let's move on. Take a look at this footage from yesterday.
Kazuma Kiryu again! And sitting across from him, is that...
Yes, that would be the two of us.
Can you elaborate on what's going on here?
Kazuma Kiryu, as you clearly saw in the Hawaii footage, is likely the one pulling Ichiban Kasuga's strings. Now why, after spending so long in hiding, would he suddenly emerge like this? I can only think of one plausible reason. The resurrection of the Tojo clan. He came here just as we'd finished refurbishing the old Tojo clan headquarters, stating he'll use any means to reclaim it. Need proof? The video here should be more than enough to convince you.
Wow, I'm glad you're both safe. What a menace Kiryu is. How can he just be allowed to walk free?
Well, he's been officially pronounced dead. It's why the police can't touch him. Still, in an effort to make a difference, we brought this to your attention in hopes that it would help.
Oh, now it's all starting to come together. Thank you so much for this information. Well, everyone, Tatara Channel's on it, and we'll chase Kazuma Kiryu to the ends of the earth. Fear not. This state-protected, privileged class of Yakuza can't run forever. The truth will always win out. Above all, the Tojo clan must not be resurrected. Let's make sure to put a stop to it. That's all for today. And if you spot Kazuma Kiryu, drop me a line.
The party meets up with Kiryu to discuss what's going on. Clearly, Tatara and Ebina are working together. Saiko finds it odd they had a smear campaign ready to go so quickly. Sanhee fears that Ebina may use Tatara to spread propaganda to her followers as he sees fits. She also believes Ebina has been her major source of intel for everything that's happened so far. Nanba also thinks that if Ichiban would never have gotten cancelled, it's possible he never would have taken the trip to meet Akane, believing Sawashiro has been stringing Ichiban along this whole time, and that he knows more about Palakana than he lets on. Nanba suggests that they should go to the Siryu clan HQ in Ijincho, as most of the clan is now in the ex-Tojo building. But when they arrive, the team is jumped by a group of viral video con artists and Siryu clan members, confirming their suspicions that Tatara and Ebina are working together. Kiryu then calls Hanawa on his phone to see what's going on in Hawaii. No one answers. Back in Hawaii, Ichiban and the gang go over their options. Hanawa lets them know if they end up finding Akane, they're ready to fly her to Japan for safety. Ichiban is still unsure about Hanawa and his bosses, but currently he's the best option. The party's unsure where to check next, but that's when Wong makes a suggestion. He explains that the last time Palakana saw Akane was about a week and a half ago in the Night District. Ichiban and the others aren't exactly excited to go back into Yamai's territory, but it's the only lead they have. They plan to talk to the tattoo shop lady again for more information, but when they ask her, she says she doesn't know them and that they should talk to Yamai. Tomizawa believes it's a bust, but Adachi and Chitose think they should ask around and see if anyone else ever saw Akane or Lani that day. But throughout their investigation, the party's constantly getting harassed by Barracuda and Ganja goons. That is until Yamai and his party arrive, annoyed by the multiple factions running freely on his territory. A fight breaks out and both parties wipe out the opposing gangs. Before Yamai leaves, he tells Ichiban and his friends to get off his turf, but Ichiban refuses, saying the two of them still have more to talk about. He points out that he's outnumbered and needs help saving Akane. He pleads to Yamai that he needs friends right now, knowing Yamai is a real Yakuza and not some cheap thug. Yamai likes the way Ichiban talks, but he still tells them to throw themselves in a wood chipper, believing if he's lucky enough, Ichiban may weaken Bryce's hold on Hawaii, giving Yamai the opportunity he needs. But Ichiban retorts saying Yamai is no scavenger, and it's more likely that he's terrified of Bryce. This bait pisses off Yamai immensely, leading them to clash once again. After the brawl, Ichiban is able to convince Yamai to give Akane sanctuary in his territory if they find her, but he makes it clear that two of them are never going to be friends. Suddenly, the woman from the tattoo shop wants to talk to Ichiban urgently. The party's unable to get a read on her, but Chitose suggests they should hear her out. She asks about Akane and why Ichiban's looking for her. He explains the whole story and even let her know what their plans are if they find her, to fly them to Japan for their safety. The tattooed woman says she may have some information, but needs to be paid off first before she shares. Once she's paid off, she asks the party to meet her during the nighttime at the docks.
We're here.
We are?
Excuse me, what do you mean we're here?
Yeah, it's the middle of the ocean, lady. Oh, bursting for a piss, too.
Don't you dare pee in my boat. Right there. See it?
That a cruiser? Here it comes.
Listen.
Huh? Okay.
Right now, we're short on faith, but shorter on time. Trusting you is a gamble. For your sake, don't let me regret it.
I'm not sure I get you. But when someone bets big on me, I pay off.
Hope so.
Hey, how about you talk straight with us?
Best place to hide a tree's the forest. Here, we've got something better. We keep precious cargo at sea.
No kidding.
Lonnie.
Akane-san?
I suppose I should say hello. Ichiban Kasuga-san.
Akane and Lonnie are taken to Yamai's base. He finds it interesting that they chose to hide in the ocean, while Bryce tore up the city. He's also annoyed that this whole time Akane was on his turf, and he never noticed. The tattooed woman exclaims that as part of Palakana, Akane has done a lot for her and many others, and he has no idea how far she would go to protect her. Ichiban introduces himself to Lonnie and Akane. He still doesn't know how to process Akane being his mother, but she thinks that's totally normal. She says she had to beg Sawashiro before he would tell Ichiban about her, but it was all worth it, and she thanks her son for finding her. Ichiban is embarrassed and believes they should talk more, but currently Akane and Lonnie's safety is their top priority. Lets the two know they plan to fly them to Japan, and makes a call to Hanawa to tell them the news. While Ichiban is talking to Hanawa, Adachi notices Chitose fidgeting and asks if she's doing okay. She snaps out of it and lets him know she's fine. Yamai then escorts everyone to the Daidoji faction headquarters. On the way, Ichiban asks why Lonnie's being targeted. Akane explains about 2 weeks ago, Lonnie showed up out of the blue with a will and a necklace with a Palakana symbol. The will reveals that the previous Palakana sage set up precautions in case of his death, stating that if Bryce Fairchild is named Sage of Palakana after his death, his claim must be deemed illegitimate and falsely gained, as the rightful sage would be part of the Mililani family. This true successor was given Palakana's most precious heraldry, the necklace Lonnie's carrying. This necklace has been passed down to each sage for generations and is one of a kind. The one Bryce wears must be a fake. From what Akane knew at the time, the previous sage died from a robbery. Bryce claims that he was entrusted with the necklace before he died, but it seems as though the previous sage didn't trust Bryce and wore a fake necklace, while the real one was entrusted to his successor. But the Mililani family never challenged Bryce's claim, fearing retaliation. So, the family abandoned Palakana for their own safety. But many years later, only Lonnie and her grandmother were the remaining survivors. On the grandmother's deathbed, she told the young girl to seek out Palakana in Honolulu, giving her the will and the necklace, thinking they would look after her, not knowing the danger she was sending Lonnie into. Akane regrets informing Bryce about the will and the necklace, as she thought it might have been a joke or a fake. But Akane could tell Bryce was acting strangely once he saw the will and the necklace. Suddenly guns were pointed at Lonnie, and many of the Palakana members Akane knew betrayed her, so she grabbed the young girl and ran, leading us to where we are now. Ichiban shares with Akane he now knows what his boss saw in her, respecting her passion for helping others in the face of all else. Yamai is successful in escorting everyone to the Daidoji faction safely. Before parting, he gives Ichiban some words of wisdom, that for men like them, it's often too late to make right from the people they came from. Once inside, Hanuma introduces himself and lets everyone know to relax for a bit, as they wait for the transport to Japan to arrive. But there's no chance to relax, as Chitose begins to act oddly immediately. She walks over to Aiji and slaps the phone out of his hands. Everyone is stunned and asks if she's okay. Chitose demands Aiji to tell her who he's calling, but Aiji just acts confused. That's when Chitose reveals to Ichiban that Akane and Lonnie are in danger, as Aiji's been blackmailing her for quite some time, and he is not who Ichiban thinks he is. Ichiban is speechless and doesn't really know how to process what he's hearing, asking if this is some sort of inside joke. Aiji continues to play stupid, but then Chitose grabs his chair, throwing him to the ground, screaming that this wheelchair is just a goddamn front. Chitose points out that the wheelchair was a play on his sympathies, knowing his past as Masato Arakawa's caretaker. Ichiban is still in shock, telling himself that he would have known if Aiji was faking, still unable to accept reality. That is, until Aiji begins to laugh.
Hey, John.
Oh, look at you. Never been a bigger sucker. Lidocaine, it's called. It's a fast-acting, localized anesthetic. At the time, I said, how hard could it be to fake being crippled? Luckily, Ebina-san insisted you'd spot an act.
Ebina? As in, Siryu clan Ebina?
Yes, yes.
The fuck? Who are you?
Dwight. They know everything. Akane-san and Lani. They have to get out of here.
Oh, how disappointing. Chitose Fujinomiya. You never had the heart. Never could see it through. You know what's going to happen now. Your life's not worth shit.
Hey, John. You bastard!
Ichiban, we don't have time. They're already here.
Who are you?
No! No! No!
Damn it!
We ho.